You're part of the moon now. That's an actual line of dialogue from this movie. What? Hi, everyone. How's it going? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to $3 Theater. I just got done watching Rolland Emmerich's disaster porn movie, Moonfall, and I have thoughts. Oh, lordy, do I have thoughts. This movie, it makes me question so many things, especially about my own taste, because this movie was one that, like, when I first saw the trailer for, I was like, all right, Rolland Emmerich destroying the world once again. I feel like the last time we saw him do this was in 2016, Independence Day Resurgence, which is a movie that I enjoyed. It was stupid, but I enjoyed it, and I kind of wanted to see them wrap up the trilogy in order to give us the full story. But of course, that movie, he kind of bombed in 2016. So, like, what's going on with this one? Maybe it's going to, maybe just kind of fill that disaster porn gap. But at the same time, we've been living with a pandemic for a couple of years with multiple millions of people dead and what feels like an existential dread happening all the time. So maybe this kind of movie is not the best thing to put out there about the moon falling from the sky in order to take us out for whatever reason. Who knows? It's a movie called Moonfall. You're maybe not supposed to give it that much thought. Neither did the people actually writing this movie, because it's kind of a mixture of a whole bunch of other films. I mean, it is Terminator, it is Interstellar, it is Mission to Mars, it is, the Assassin's Creed franchise, for crying out loud. This movie boggles my mind in so many ways. And because of that, it also impresses the shit out of me, because something as mind-numbingly dumb could be made, distributed, and, well, not even profitable by any stretch of the imagination in 2022. And it's almost impressive how this movie is. Now, let me just point out by saying this here. It wasn't that I wasn't entertained with the movie, because I was. It kept my interest for all 2 hours and 10 minutes. Granted, it was about probably 25 to 30 minutes too long, but I think the reason why they did that is because of the amount of money it cost to make this movie. This was, for lack of a better term, the most expensive, independently financed movie of all time. I think Rolland Emmerich, if you want my honest opinion, staked his entire career getting this movie made. And the fact that it came out and it bombed as terribly as it did, we're talking a budget of about $145 million. And believe me, you see it on the screen. It only pulled in about 59 million worldwide. And I don't even know what it did in regards to its home video sales. And I don't even think it's going to pick up a cult audience here. Morbius is doing well on kind of like that weird cult level. I don't know about Moonfall. And that's okay. Not everything needs a franchise. Not everything needs a sequel, but it's like, what? All right, let's talk about the actual plot of the film. 12 years ago, or 10 years ago, Patrick Wilson, Halle Berry, some other guy who's a rookie, they're out there working on something in space, and all of a sudden here comes this dust particle looking thing. It looks like it's nanomachines. There's spoilers. I'm going to spoil this shit. It's nanomachines. They end up like kind of pseudo destroying the spaceship, taking out whatever they were working on, and, knocking the one guy off into space, and he just kind of George Clooney's his way out of that thing. They end up landing back on Earth. No one believes Patrick Wilson as to what he saw. They discredit him. They fire him from NASA. He loses his house. He loses his wife. He effectively loses a relationship with his son. And then, 10 years pass. And now there's an irregularity with the moon. Now there's an irregularity with the moon. And we find out that the moon is off course. that its trajectory is changing and it's going closer and closer to Earth, and they don't know why, but it's got about 3 weeks until it all goes tits up. So they send up, they very quickly send up a spaceship to go and check out this massive hole in the center of the Earth. And then it gets taken out by whatever this machine is, this entity, and so then they go, okay, but now we need to get up there. It can't be electronics. It has to be old school. And we need the best pilot there is. That's left. So they get back Patrick Wilson, who at this point in time is teamed up with a man, someone who believes, like a mega structuralist. This guy who is pretending to be a doctor, not a real doctor, but it's played by John Turley from Game of Thrones. I forget the actor's name, who gave it his all. I will fully admit, he really gave it his all for this movie. He really brought the nerdy, and he really tried to make it his own thing. And I fully respect that, because as I found out, originally Josh Gad was supposed to be in his part. And then for whatever reason, Gad backed away. I guess good for him. But then it's still he came on in, and he really just brought this manic energy about him, right? Of this crazy guy that no one ever takes seriously. He's this scientist, who is mega structuralist, who determined that the moon is off course and whatever by breaking into USC and Irvine and everything else in order to trick some research facility into sending data to him. They don't ever really explain it, but who cares? I mean, there's even a father-son plot dynamic between Patrick Wilson and his son, who went on a joyride at the beginning of the movie and ended up getting arrested. It was all over TV. The wife remarried Michael Peña, who is a Lexus dealer, by the way, a mega star Lexus dealer. He's a huge car dealer. That's where they have all this money. Obviously, Lexus, really big sponsor of the movie. I think Kaspersky, whatever the hell Kaspersky is, that company is featured multiple times. NASA, the military, all having big prominent displays, so you know that they got the permission from those organizations. It's very Rolland Emmerich to a fault, I will say. Because their big plan is they need an EMT, so Donald Sutherland has a part in this movie. We see him, he's this old, basically a government spook, his job was to cover up what happened with the moon landing back in '69, because that's when we first discovered that there was maybe something afoot on the moon. Which I find to be really funny, because even right now in current events, if you're watching this somehow randomly, in 2025 or whatever, there's a mystery rocket hit the moon, and no one is taking credit for it. So everyone's like, what happened to the moon? And then here I'm watching this movie called Moonfall, and it's maybe Rolland Emmerich was up to something. Maybe he figured it out. He knew what he was doing. Anyway, Donald Sutherland is this CIA government spook who's in the process of getting ready to blow his own brains out when he sees Halle Berry, who is now the recently promoted director of NASA, trying to look at, Patrick Wilson's, helmet cam footage from 10 years prior, because she didn't believe him that he saw what he saw. Never mind, they were really solid friends. They were she was his work wife. That's how they said at the beginning of the movie and everything else, but she didn't believe him. Necessarily. She believed NASA because NASA told her it didn't happen, even though NASA was lying. And then Donald Sutherland kind of comes out of the woodworks, and he's just let me tell you about this EMP machine, this bomb we were building to take that thing out. And then he's now I gotta go. I have pressing issues waiting for me at my desk, because he's going to blow his brains out. That's what he's going to do. They literally got Donald Sutherland, in order to put him on the poster for 1 day, not even 1 day. I'm pretty sure they only had him sit there for maybe 2 hours. Okay, you've got this beefy monologue. We're just going to put a camera in front of you. We're going to shoot you. We're going to shoot some coverage, and you're just going to wheelchair yourself out of here. And that's going to be the day. Here's your, couple $1 million for this brief cameo in this movie. It was so weird. Like they just brought him in, like kind of like Woody Harrelson as like the skeptic conspiracy theorist guy in 2012. But Woody Harrelson had a much larger part for the first third of that movie. Donald Sutherland was in like one scene. But then again, look, this movie is moving at a breakneck speed, even though it's over 2 hours long, right? So then, you know, they need to like get the old Endeavor, right? The one that's in Los Angeles, so they can, like, you know, use it to get it to Houston in order to shoot it up into space. Someone up there had spray painted "fuck the moon," which I thought was really funny. And the fact that they kept it on there was actually even funnier. Like that was pretty good. So they get it out to Houston. They're trying to build this rocket, put this EMP on there. They have this whole military operation. This, like, here's the thing. This movie I know is Roland Emmerich, but this is Roland Emmerich like channeling like mid-90s Michael Bay. Like Bad Boys, The Rock, you know what I mean? Like maybe a little Con Air, which I know was Simon West and whatever. But like it felt like a Michael Bay movie. Armageddon even at times. It felt like a Michael Bay movie in the way that it was directed, especially the score. It was really weird. I was like, am I watching Michael Bay? Like, am I watching Michael Bay give less of a shit than he did with Transformers The Last Night? Like, that's just my question at this point, because the story is so pants on head. What? Even though I'm thoroughly entertained, it's still super weird. Anyway, like, you know, gravitational pull of the earth gets all crazy. Earthquake comes in, damages the machine. They have to ultimately end up using the gravity from the moon to kind of like launch the rocket into space. And they get to the moon. They discover that the moon is hollow, which is an actual theory that somebody has been presenting recently. That's actually the whole basis of the plot of this movie. But they come to find out that it's really an AI that is basically what built Earth. Our forerunners, right? Our ancestors from billions upon billions of years ago built AI, and the AI became sentient and decided it didn't want to be a slave. So it had a robot uprising, killed everyone, but humanity built one last Titan AE type thing, which again, Titan AE is another one that pops up here. It's a moon. They built moons, but all of them got killed except for one. And that moon went off and formed Earth. And then, you know, 100 billion years later, 67 billion years later, whatever, here we are up there again, because one strand of the AI found it and is smothering the dwarf star nuclear powered engine that's inside this thing. Never mind, like, all the technology in the ship. They have spacecraft loaded with weaponry. The AI can repair things. I mean, well, okay. The creature, the bad AI, right? You know, it needs to, like, it targets organic matter contained within electronic devices. That's the whole hitch, right? That's the catch. So they, like, it goes after, you know, the people in the thing, right? That's how it works. Okay, cool. And they end up, like, you know, the crazy mega structuralist who doesn't really have much to live for back on Earth anyway, sacrifices himself, blows it up, but then ends up getting his consciousness gets scanned, and then he gets uploaded to the Matrix. I'm sorry, I mean the moon. That's why I mentioned that line at the beginning of the film. Now, there's a whole B plot in this movie as well about, like, you know, Patrick Wilson's son trying to get Halle Berry's son and her, you know, her nanny, who's an exchange student from China, to Colorado to get to this underground military base to be protected. And of course, it's kind of like The Last of Us, it feels like at times. They end up encountering these bandits who rip them off. They go back and they find, you know, like, the rich family who abandoned the kid at a jail in LA, and they're now in Aspen, but they get out there and then they all decide to head off to this thing anyway. And then Michael Peña gets killed, right? Because again, I'm watching this scene where it's like, it's a nice scene because, like, he loves his kids, he gives his daughter his heir, he knows he's gonna die. Literal, like, minutes before the heir just kind of returns to the area anyway, like, whatever. And then, like, he just dies, and I'm sitting there going, like, man, like, even the stepdad in 2012 got killed. Right? Like, even the stepdad in 2012 got killed. So I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, like, obviously, you know, like, Roland Emmerich has a thing against stepdads. Kind of. I mean, he was a hero. Both time they were heroes, essentially, right? But they still died to protect the family. Then at the end of the movie, so they save the day. They save the world. The world's gone. It's totally torn up and shit. They save the day. But then at the end, they survive because they eject out of the moon as the moon is traveling like over like the Midwest or Colorado or whatever. And they just eject out of the moon and then they just like parachute with the lander or the escape capsule down to Earth. Like they don't even need to come back. The moon just basically, the moon was basically Uber and dropped them off right at the top of a mountain. Cool. But then they're like having this conversation like, yeah, we make a pretty good team. We make a pretty good team. We should, yeah. And I'm like, okay, like, are you guys going to like hook up or like what? Because I didn't really get like a lot. I mean, I kind of figured like they, the whole work wife thing, they had some connection and whatnot, but they were really good friends. But then like this was going to bring them closer together because she's now not married anymore to her ex, even though her ex clearly still loves her. But then again, like Patrick Wilson's ex is like now with a much richer guy who is also now dead. So he's kind of got his pick of the litter, so to speak. And you're like, okay, are Halle Berry and Patrick Wilson going to get together? Is this going to happen? Because there was like no romance in the movie. Usually you got to have a romantic thing, right? That's part of these stories. Nothing there. Not that it really matters. So here's the thing. The movie is dumb as shit. Dumb as a bag of rocks. Entertaining if you just want something to turn on and not care about. Visually speaking, amazing. This in IMAX would have been really freaking cool. But I watched it at home. I don't know if I'd watch it again, to be fair. I don't know if I could even recommend this movie. It's like, if you have nothing else to watch, and you're just like, I don't want to think about shit, Moonfall. And then at the very end of the movie, because it ends literally with a whole part about like, you're in the moon now, or you're part of the moon now. I'm like, did you set this up for a sequel? Where like the human's going to go back to the moon and like, get like the advanced weaponry and then take the fight to the AI? Like, was that going to be like, was this going to be a big Moonfall trilogy of films? Because I'm not gonna, that'd be kind of cool. At the end of the day, Rolland Emmerich does disaster porn like nobody else. So if you like that sort of thing, you'll be very happy here. If you're like me, you're somewhat questioning life choices. But then again, I leave it to you, your thoughts, your opinions. Let me know down in the comment section. I'm going to go to bed. Have yourself a great night, everybody, and peace out.